Today we are on site and on location with my man, Mr. Cashflow himself, Antonio.
What's up?
And I'm super pumped to have this guy here in studio, in the podcasting studio. We actually met when we were on a panel together at this event in Tampa called Social X. Shout out to the Social X crew.
Shout out.
Shout outs to everybody. And this man is just a wealth of knowledge. He's a wealth of knowledge in the space of real estate. He's a super proud dad, all the stuff that we love to talk about. So without further ado, welcome, my man.
Hey, it's an honor to be on your show, Andy. I've seen you've seen your show, other episodes, and you got some killer gems you be dropping, man. So it's an honor to be on your platform today.
Thank you so much. Well, we're going to drop a ton of value for all
sir.
these folks. We have a lot of different listeners here from literally all over the world. Some are trying to figure out the hustle. Some are trying to figure out, a complete side hustle and why that it's such a good idea to invest in real estate, even if you're not in it.
Yes.
And there's so many different ways to do it. So maybe give us like a quick little backstory on you and your story, and then how you found real estate.
Yeah, man. So, I came in the game in 2009. So, been in this thing for a decade, and it's just me thinking about that. That's, man, time flies.
It sure does.
But I could tell you, for people that's watching this or watching or listening to this podcast, a lot can happen in 6 months to a year.
Especially in the real estate game.
Yeah. So it's definitely a real estate game. So I was in the music business prior to real estate, right? And I had met someone that was in the music business, and obviously you know who 50 Cent is, right?
I do.
Yeah. So the producer that produced the Wankster track, that was one of 50 Cent's big singles, besides In the Club, right? That was a big single back then. He took his $240,000 publishing deal and went into real estate.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm hustling, bustling.
I wish more people did that, man.
Yeah. So I'm hustling, bustling, doing music, banging out tracks 14, 15 hours a day. I had a studio. I'm charging $40 an hour. And I had this property, and, back in like 2007-ish, give or take, that was like the top of the market. It's about to go down in the crash.
I remember.
I was making $23,000 a year at my truck driving job. Right. And somebody at my job was like, "Hey, Antonio, you can go to a bank and get a house. I just bought a house." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I don't make that much money." I was like, "Dude, like, we work at the same job."
Hey, to sign this piece of paper, you're good.
Yeah. So I went to a bank, and next thing you know, I got approved for a $140,000 loan, $23,000 a year.
Something's awry.
Something right. So you do the numbers. My mortgage payment was $1,100 a month. So aside from that, I was doing music, just to make ends meet, live paycheck to paycheck, and pay my bills. And I was charging people like $40 an hour studio time. I had like a little detached garage, and people was coming, buy like a $150 beat, and I was charging per hour to record there. And that was helping me pay my bills, but it still wasn't enough. So fast forward a little bit, Chris Haskins was the guy who did that track. He flashed a check into my face for like $40,000, and he was like, "Hey, I just did this without cash or credit."
Start paying attention.
Yeah, I was like, huh? Like, how? Like, because I'm struggling, man. I'm like barely making ends meet at the time, and at the same time, I lost that property because I couldn't afford it no more.
Of course, because you should have never had the property in the first place.
They should have stamped a denied. Like,
That's right.
The minute I came into the bank to get,
That's right.
or the mortgage office, but they approved me like flying stars. So I ended up going back home to my mom and dad, and I still had this no cash or credit thing. I didn't know what it was.
Ringing in your mind.
No cash or credit, $40,000, and it was like, whoa, he hit my pain point. So I hit him up one day, and I met him at a Starbucks. And he was just like, "Man, you just remind me of myself. I used to be in the music business, as you know." And he said, "You know what? I'm going to take you under my wing." He's like, "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start simple. Have you ever heard of bandit signs?" And I'm like, no. He's like, "Have you ever seen them signs in the street that says we buy junk cars?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I've seen that." So he's like, "I need you to order some signs." So I was fearful. I was like, I didn't know what that was. It was like an unknown world. Ordered 100 bandit signs, and sure enough, that first deal came. It was a crack house, Andy. It was 5 brothers. It was one sober heir that had the power of attorney over all the his heirs, his brothers, and it was 4 crackheads living in the house.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. But I didn't know that people buy. So we're going into the property, and I'm like looking at the property is like freaking Like the ceiling was all stained up, mold.
I get it.
Like dude was like one of the brothers. I remember he was just like laid out, like he was fucking shot all
just
up and
gassed. Yeah,
done. Like no power. And I remember I was like, who would buy this house? And he was just, well, he was like, I smell money.
That's right.
And I didn't know. It was an unknown world. But I'm glad I'd had him by my side because that was like a huge door opener. And we got the property locked up right in the backyard. And I didn't know that even existed. I thought you had to go to a fancy office, and it was just like such an experience. So we're sitting on a tree stump in the backyard with this bootleg table and whatnot.
Signing
a contract, got it locked up for $48,000. As soon as we got into his truck, because I rode with him, he called a buyer for $60,500.
I get it. Dude, this story sounds so familiar. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. 3 hours later, he told the buyer for $6,500. 3 hours later, he got a call back. It was like, hey, I'll buy it.
And you signed the contract.
I signed the contract, made $12,500. Like within it was a few liens on the property, so it took about 90 days for it to close. When it was supposed to be like a 2-week closing.
That's all right. Just clear the clouds.
But Andy, I was licking my chops like, damn, that 12,000. I just kept thinking 12,5. And after that one closing, August 2009, I did 26 deals my first year, made my first net $100K my first 6 months, just signing contracts.
Yep.
And that was it. I stopped doing music.
Dude, the story sounds so familiar, man.
Literally.
I literally did a very similar thing, and I had an unbelievable mentor that I still do business with today.
100%.
And there was these properties that we'd walk in through, all through like South Central, Compton, Watts, all up and down like the 110 corridor. He's like, this is where I love to go, because most people don't like to go into these areas.
Right.
So I literally cut my teeth in the worst neighborhoods in LA.
Wow.
And I loved it. I loved the people. I loved to help. Like it was unbelievable. And we did the same thing. We'd roll in there, find out who's in charge, signing contracts, we did so many cash for keys in like Spanish and English contracts, and we're writing them as we go. And then it was my first one. It was very similar to your story. I did just over 10 grand.
Nice.
Like that.
Yeah. What year was this?
This was 2009. 2009, almost 2000. No, it was 2009.
About the same time frame.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I went all in on real estate in 2008, and by 2009 I was humming. So we had a good 3-year run, as you remember.
Yep.
Where dude, you couldn't miss. It was impossible.
Yep.
And sure enough,
good times.
Dude, it was so good.
Good times,
so good. I remember those,
Mm-hmm.
and it just lit a fire in me. I'm like, this math makes sense to me.
Yep.
I can use my skills because I can talk to anybody. I'm fair. I can sit down with a family that's struggling and not just take.
Right.
I can find out what's going to work for everybody.
Connect with them.
100%.
Yeah.
Because
that's
guess
huge.
what? I used to be that.
Yes.
I used to be that poor kid in that poor neighborhood.
Yeah.
But we were renting.
But that's an advantage, though.
I agree.
Huge advantage. Everybody can't do that.
I agree, because you can't relate.
Yep.
You can only relate with somebody unless you've been there.
Yep.
So I know what it feels like to be poor.
Yep.
I know what it feels like to be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know what it feels like to help. And now I can help my family. So it's literally gone full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, I love that. And it's possible.
Yep.
And that's what
100%.
Right?
100%.
And you're like, see you later, music. I love you. And that's the beauty of it, is you don't have to let go of all that.
No.
Because now you start making a bunch of money.
Yep.
You can invest in that. Now you can, you
Yes.
can put on artists now.
Yep.
Money is a tool.
Yep, it's a vehicle.
That's
it's
it.
A tool. That's it. And real estate is just a vehicle too that gets you wherever my passion is music. So I still incorporate music into my real estate business. Like, matter of fact, I have a real estate music video about to drop soon.
Love it.
Teaching me how to flip houses.
Dude, those things work.
Yeah.
You should look up this guy's video. His name is Tim Smith.
Tim Smith.
He's like one of the top agents, I think, in the country, for sure, like the state of California. He has this listing on Lido Island for $48 million, and it's his house. It's a super sick custom house. He did a video called "Teach Me How to Duffy," like the Duffy boats, those little boats.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He spent like $100. It's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
But he created this. He created like a parody music video as a marketing piece to sell this super high ticket luxury property.
Smart.
And such a big risk. He took such a risk, and it worked. It was on the news.
The bigger the risk, the bigger what?
100%. and I loved him. Tim's great.
Tim Smith.
Yeah, Tim Smith.
I'm gonna check him out.
So yeah, and then back to wholesaling, and you made your 12.5.
Yep, 12.5. And my second deal, which I look back and like, man, I should have freaking just took this $5,000. I was just trying to rush it, and I saw this deal come. It was a subject to deal, right? And I picked it up subject to, and all I had to do was come up with the $30,000 in repairs because the acquisition was on subject to. And
Sure.
my mentor that helped me with the first deal, he's like, okay, I'll bring the $30,000 repairs. How about you manage? Well, he offered to buy it off me for $5,000 for an assignment fee. I was like, no, man, I want to do the rehab.
Of course. And that's when you get like huge red flags.
Yes.
Like, how come you want it so bad?
Yeah.
Must be a good deal.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, I want to do a rehab with you. I'll go in. So he was like, all right, you manage it. I'm flying back and forth to Minnesota at the time. It was his fiance. I should have took the $5,000, Andy.
I know, man.
My second deal. It took 9 months,
I
I made $3,000.
I get it.
But you know what? I
Learned.
learned so much. How to analyze repairs, the inspections, all of that. How to work with the contractors, and
Dude,
it was a nightmare 9 months. But
you couldn't learn that much in
Yes.
probably 3 years that you learned in 9 months
100%,
because you were hands-on.
100%.
I literally have that scenario going, and we're closing today.
Mm-hmm.
We got this property in June of last year.
Mm-hmm.
This thing should have been sold, flipped, and done by September.
Wow.
He's new, and he wanted to do it his way, and I go, no problem.
Yep.
I go, I'm gonna hold your hand, and I'm gonna help you. You don't have to listen to me, but I've done this 1,000 times.
Yep.
More. We're just closing escrow on the sale right now. It's been a year and 3 days.
Are you making money at least?
I'm making money.
Okay.
I made money on the front, the middle, and the exit.
I know that's right.
It's just so right.
Yeah.
But for him, I was just like, this is called wasted opportunity cost. You
Yes.
should have used that same million 4 times already, and you've used it
100%.
once. So
That's a whole nother topic for another day.
100%. So that's
Yeah.
why I just sat back and I'm like, I'm gonna let him learn this lesson. The guy has hundreds of millions, so it doesn't really bother him.
Yeah.
The loss bothers him.
Yes.
It's not the money; it's that he could have done better.
Better. Yeah.
But that's where the mentoring comes in.
Yep.
We're gonna have a long talk tomorrow.
Wow. Well, at least it's closing. You said tomorrow, right?
Yeah. It's actually recording today, and I'm just waiting on the email for the recording confirmation.
Sweet. Good for you, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's always ways to learn, right? And
100%.
and you never know where that thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got a 9-month schooling,
Yep.
which I'm sure has paid you tons of dividends since, and not just that small little $3,000.
Yep.
But still, I mean, like $3,000, and you learned. It's kind of a win.
Yeah. At the time, I was pissed.
Of
I was
course,
like,
of
damn, I should have
course.
took that $5,000 like
That's
right then. But
And walked.
yeah, but in that meantime, in the course of that 9 months, I was still wholesaling. So I flipped 26 to keep afloat. And I remember that first 6 months, I saw that $100K in my account. I was like, damn, like I just need to stick to wholesaling for a while
I know.
and build my capital even more. And that's what I was doing. I did that my first 3 years.
So speak to the way that it felt to see $100,000 in cash in your bank account.
Yep.
When before you would literally drive a truck for 5 years straight,
Yes. Oh,
right? To hit that metrics.
yeah.
23,000
Yep.
times 5 years
5 years.
would equal what you made
Yep.
in a very short period of time.
Absolutely. So a kid like me that comes from a small city, Norfolk, Virginia, my family come from the hood, man. We come from shit. And, I was making $6.50 an hour, single dad. I had my son in high school. You see my son on IG. He just
I
closed
do.
his first deal, by the way.
Yes.
Shout out to you, DJ, for $3,000. No cash or credit at 17.
Shout out DJ. Shout out to DJ. I love that.
But I had him in high school, right? And, that truck driving job, $6.50 an hour. And I used to work overtime and stuff like that. That first $100,000 just felt like, I just felt like I had $1 million. Man.
I know.
And
It feels like $1 million.
It does, but
I get
But
it.
as we know, we've been in the game for a minute. Like $100,000 is not a lot of money at all.
The shit lasted for me like a half a nanosecond.
That could be one property, not even enough for a property,
I
or
know.
just a couple properties.
I know. And I would tell myself these stories. I'm like, if I could just do $50,000 in a deal.
Right.
And then I would do it and be like, what would 100 feel like? Because
Yes.
50 feels like this. What does 100 feel like?
feel like-
And then 100, I'm like, what about half a
half a
million?
million. Yeah.
And I'm still the same way today.
Yep.
12 years
keep-
later, I just keep going and going. I just,
Exactly.
because it's the hunt.
Yep.
Like, I love to hunt real estate.
Yep. Yeah, and you gotta have a love for it,
For sure.
for passion.
Because it's hard.
Yeah, because you can also, the more money you make, you can get easily lazy too and stagnant. You start getting this money coming in, you be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to take a month vacation, 2 months. you come back and you're trying to build that momentum again. The momentum is hard. So
Dude, it's
that
happened to me several times.
yeah, that was a lesson I learned to no matter what I'm doing or how free I am, and I want to make sure I have those systems and tools and teams are still generating, like leads coming in and they're being groomed and rapport has been built and contracts are still being signed.
That's right.
For closings. That's the key.
Right.
That's the key.
Well, it's because, and so many people get stuck in the like, oh, so I made it.
Yep.
Right? Because you might hit a goal or a target, and it's really important to celebrate that win.
Yep.
But I've never made it. Like, I'm never going to make it.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be pushing
That's
a little
good mindset
further
to have too.
and a little further because I'm trying to lead my kids. So I don't want them to think like, oh, he made all this money and now we just chill. Like, that's catastrophic, I think, for kids.
So you're teaching your boys now early.
I'm leading by example big time.
Smart.
Because you have to. Because it's a fear of mine. I'm like, my kids are growing up wildly different than I did.
Yep.
So where do I find those pain points for them? Like, they go to private school, they get whatever they want, their mom spoils them. I'm like,
yeah.
where's the pain? So I have to try to create it.
You know what I did for my 2-year-old daughter? 2 weeks ago, we brought her some prop money. The most real, propmoney.com, by the way.
Okay.
The most realest looking money like you can never buy. That's not real. And she like, I can show you the video out the show. Like, I have a video and I gave her $100 the prop money. I was like, how much is that? $100. Like, and when she loses this money, we're teaching her, like, you got to hold on to it, Mila. And she's learning at 2 years old. Like, we'll give her, like, it's like $300, three $100 bills. And she's hyped about it. And she knows it's money. But she will lose that money.
Of course, because she's 2.
She's 2. But we'll teach her, like, not to lose it. Hold on to it. Keep it in your purse because she likes a little purse now.
Of course.
So we're trying to teach her the little baby steps early.
She's going to be a hustler by 7.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's other than my son was my asset, and he's blooming now. Like, she's the next best asset.
Because you have to invest in your kids.
100%.
Like,
they're assets.
You're going to get what you invest in.
100%.
If you're not home, if you're not around, if you don't really tap into them, and they're all different. Like, you have to find out what actually motivates them.
Yeah.
And then keep them fired up. I love that. I love that you're helping out your kids that way. And it's a huge thing in our house where it's like, so what do we do with this money?
Yeah.
Do we save it? Do we spend it? Or do we invest it? And since they were 2, 3 questions. Do we save it? Do we spend it? Or do we invest it? And they're not wrong. I just want to make sure they understand what happens when you do all 3.
Right.
And then you can do whatever you want.
100%.
Just know the rules.
Yeah. Those
you can spend it, but now what?
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, and what you're spending it on, too, you want to be aware.
Yeah. Because spending it can actually be investing.
Absolutely.
In yourself.
Yes.
Like, so there's tons of it. So, man, I love it. So I got sidetracked, which I do constantly on the show.
No, this is good, man.
Right?
This is good.
Okay, so then you're on deal 2.
It's just fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
After my third year, let's just rewind a little bit. My second year, I read a book, 4-Hour Work Week, by
good old
Timothy Ferriss. Solid book, man.
I know.
It was in 2011, give or take.
Changed the game.
And before that, my mindset was like, get this huge office, blah, blah, blah.
Spend and work 100 hours a day.
Yeah. Like the old 1992 way. The age we live in, the info age we live in, like, you don't even need that, man.
Don't.
It's insane what this internet thing has done for all of us. It really broke the barrier for anybody that has excuses that like, hey, no, I can't do a business, or I don't understand. Like, you can just literally go to YouTube or whatever, and you can just find out something within like your smartphone.
I've learned so much from YouTube.
Yeah,
so much.
It's crazy. It could be a death trap though, because you can get so side. A lot of people is having a hard time to focus in this era we live in too. You end up watching a how-to video, then you fuck around and be watching a LeBron James video from the Laker highlight or something like that.
And it's your whole day.
So in the whole day. So you gotta really like hone in and focus and be like, okay, if I want to learn something, I'm gonna put 2 to 3 hours for YouTube just to learn this specific thing.
It has to be intentional. It's intentional learning. That's why I'm so huge with podcasting.
Yep.
99% of the time that's spent when I'm not on the phone, either at the office or in the car, I'm consuming a podcast of some kind.
On the way here, I was listening to podcasts.
Everything.
Yep.
So I'm very mindful of what's going in my brain. I love music as well, and I use that as fuel to calm down,
Yeah.
to get fired up.
Yep.
But if like I'm driving, I want to learn.
Yes.
That's time I can learn.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, your mind is a muscle. You have to exercise. I mean, just like, you go to gym, get your muscles right. Your brain is a muscle too. You got to exercise it.
Nobody wants fat brain.
No.
Who wants fat brain? I want like shredded, just like clear brain.
Yeah. Absolutely. And feeding your brain, just being aware of what you feed into your brain, because you can put, negative education into you,
quickly.
There's a lot of negative education out there too.
And there's a lot
You
of bullshit that we were
woke.
talking about.
Yeah.
Like before.
Yep.
All these like gurus and
Yep.
all of their courses that are full of fluff and nothing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's maybe fast forward.
Yep.
To kind of maybe closer to where you're at now, and the deals that you've closed and the people that you've touched and lives that you've changed and your team, and then what your plans are going to be, kind of for the next 4 to 5 years. The good news is he's going to be moving out here
Yes, sir.
to Southern Cali, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah, can't wait.
And so we're going to get into that.
Yeah. So pretty much, I mean, I've done well over 400 transactions, and what I love about, I have a passion about is helping others. I help so many people, like myself or people, older than me, become financially free in real estate or do their first deal. And after you learn that specialized knowledge,
they can't take it from you.
yeah, nobody can do it unless they kill you, right? Nobody's gonna kill you. That's a low percentage rate.
That's
so
right.
at least as long as you're living, you will always have that
Skill.
and that tool to do it. All you gotta do is execute. So thousands of students, man, around the country, help them do deals. Actually, today I have just telling you before the show, my lead manager, right, who manages my leads that come in. She saw a nice, it's just a platter, a no-brainer deal come in for $10K for a condo. And you heard that right, $10,000 for a condo. And I'm picking up tomorrow. And we was talking today how she made an appointment for my acquisitions guy. And I was like, by the way, Stacy, she was just, I could just tell by her voice. She was
fired up.
She was fired up.
Yeah,
So I was like,
yeah.
this is a good way to like.
Good for her. Yeah, I
was
love
like,
it.
are you open to funding this deal, Stacy? And she was like, let me talk to my husband. Like, I think I said I would do it, but let me talk to my husband first, because for $10,000, I can't see you losing on this deal, Antonio. So you saw the text, and she was like,
So
my husband
cool,
said
man.
yes, all caps. The yes was all caps. So
And that's it.
I turned my lead manager, which is she works for me, or my team member per se.
Into
And
an investor.
And she's an investor funding my deal. You never know.
Changing lives, man. Like,
Yep.
that's the thing, is you can invest, and you have to invest in your teams. You have to invest in
Yes.
their education and their well-being. When your team is bought in to what you're trying to do and trying to help people, they'll work those hours. They'll go to
Absolutely.
hell and back with you.
Absolutely.
When you're a punk, nobody
Yeah.
wants to work with
Right.
you.
Right.
If you're just a selfish, greedy pig,
Yeah, people will smell that quick, man.
yeah. And
Quick.
I'm the opposite. I'm like,
Yeah.
here's the
Yeah.
keys to the castle.
And the more you open your arms to people and give, it's like you get more.
It feels good.
And it feels good. It feels really good. But if you're like holding information or you're trying to, I don't know, snake somebody, I wouldn't feel good about that. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, So you got to take care of your people, and specifically your team. This is a team for a reason. So you want to take care of your people on your team and over deliver. Like, sometimes, I may give them a incentive or pay them a bonus or something along those lines. And it wasn't even like looking for it.
Yeah.
And
but
they
it's
work harder.
appreciated, and then they work harder.
Yes.
Because it's so hard to do this game by yourself.
It's not impossible, but it's extremely hard.
It's just not
It-
fun.
it- well-
It'll take all the fun out of it.
Well, my first 2.5, 3 years, I was a one-man band. I was, doing 2 deals a month, give or take, but I was working like a fucking madman. And
get it.
I felt like I was an employee again. Like it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I read, the book 4 Hour Work Week, Timothy Ferry's opened up to virtual assistants, outsourcing, delegating.
Delegate.
And I'm like,
Might have something here.
I didn't even know that was possible.
I didn't either
So
until I read the book.
Yeah, so I hired my first virtual assistant, and that was the first team member, per se, in my business in 2011, and I just started scaling and building from there. And then I was like, oh, I can have somebody go on my appointments for me? Okay, let's hire my first acquisitions guy. Have them go on my appointments, which, essentially you want to have somebody do that.
You're the closer.
The closer.
You come in with
Yep.
mine.
Yes. Wire the money and send the cashier check.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
it.
Yeah, so, the name of the game is pretty much, well, let me segue for a second. Like, I like to tell people, because a lot of people I see are making a fuck ton of money, flipping houses, rehabbing, or wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of guys like they do that to make a lot of money, but they're not buying and holding a property.
get
I know
it.
a lot of guys like that. They have a lot of money.
Most.
I'm like, dude, you're doing these 6 figures a month, blah blah blah, and you don't have a rental, one buy and hold.
They've got watches. They've got
Yeah,
cars.
I'm like,
they've got expensive
that'll
dinners.
scare me, man.
They've got bottle service.
Yeah.
I don't get it.